What's going on, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Card Collectors Cast, episode 2, where today we're going to talk about grading. And this is a big topic in cards, and it's something that has been pretty big as of recent, and as this whole sports cards hobby has kind of boomed. The topic of grading is something that is on everyone's mind, and clearly it's been on everyone's mind because the main grader PSA is only taking Super Express orders. They are planned to set back open into July. All other grading companies right now are fully backed up. You can experience delays all over the place. So we're just gonna I'm going to give my thoughts to you. Thank you. And we're going to talk about grading companies and things that are happening maybe behind the scenes that you don't know about. So first, let's talk about PSA. PSA is a grading company which they hand out a lot of 10s, in my opinion. If you don't know what PSA is, it's the red label with the white in the middle, black text, very simplistic design, very thin casing slabs, and it's known as maybe the go-to, the standard, the one that everyone wants. And the reason because of that is because PSA got pumped so much in the hobby blowing up. So influencers like Gary Vee and others influencers, they pumped PSA's prices because I think there was a little, there was something going on there. And because of that, it's caused the, snowball to turn into an avalanche where people want PSA, and people will pay, double, triple the price of one grading company to get a PSA 10. And here's where my first point's going to come in is you guys don't need to pay for a PSA 10. Pay for the card and don't pay for the grade. You can easily buy a Beckett 9.5, a Beckett 10, Mint 9.5, KSA, SGC, CSG, ACA, whatever you guys want to do, and buy the card. I mean, to me, having a raw, ungraded card and something that I really want beats having a PSA 10 in that card if I had to pay, double or triple the price for it. Another thing that's huge, I guess, right now with PSA is because they're so backed up. People sent these bulk orders, and I'm seeing it all the time on eBay. They're literally base cards just from random sets that are PSA graded because people thought, a year ago, 8 months ago, 6 months ago, that any card getting graded would increase value. And this is a huge myth in the sports card hobby, the sports card collecting hobby, the sports card investing hobby, is that getting a card graded automatically increases the value. And this is a big no-no. This is something where you really have to do your research on getting a card graded. If you get it slabbed for a personal collection, that's totally fine. But getting something graded is an expense. I mean, PSA right now is $300 US to send Super Express to get a card graded. You have to factor that into your card, right? Say your card's worth, a couple $100. You spend another $300-$400 with shipping, with duties, with everything else. Is it worth sending that card to get that PSA 10? I mean, when July opens back up, maybe it is. Maybe it is to send it into PSA again. But at $300 at a Super Express level is insane. And it's something that you guys shouldn't be paying for grading. And it's something that we've seen recently that a lot of other grading companies are taking off. First one I want to talk about is HGA. And HGA, if you haven't heard of it, it's a hybrid grading approach. It's been out for a while now, and it's actually taken, it's taken the hobby by storm. They open up their grading process as kind of like a queue that you have to enter into on Fridays, and then they only accept so many cards. If you're lucky enough to send a card in, then you can design these like custom labels, and they're really cool. HGA is really tough on cards though. It's tough to get a 9.5. It's even tougher to get a 10. You see a lot of 9s come out of there, a lot of 8.5s, stuff like that. It's because they use that hybrid grading approach from what I've heard. And also I think that's from what I've heard, again, there's something fishy kind of going on as well. I watched a guy on YouTube, shout out to 502 Frank, and he was the main backer of HGA back in the winter, and now he's stopped grading with them. And they've kind of taken off, they've blown up primarily because of people like him, influencers who, promote the product, who believe in HGA. And this company has had, mess up after mess up in the grading process. They've started out hot, and these custom labels really got people's attention. There's something that was so cool. They color match card. They can color match the parallel. It works together with the card. It looks very aesthetically pleasing. But then they've done a few mess ups. Like they've messed up. They got a copyright claim. I think they used someone else's artwork on a Tua Tagovailoa card. They also have used the wrong colors. They've used the wrong slabs. I even saw last week that they labeled a Kyler Murray card as RJ Barrett, and it was completely wrong. And HGA's had a couple of these mess ups, and it doesn't take too many mess ups before people stop believing in your company. I mean, they took off so quickly, and for these, glaring mistakes to come out is something that it hurts your reputation as a grader, and people don't have confidence to grade their cards when you can't even get the correct card title right or the player name. I mean, if you're putting RJ Barrett on a football card, I mean, what are you doing? Like, Kyler Murray's a huge, name in football, and RJ Barrett's a decent name in basketball. I mean, how do you mess that up? How do you, it's not like you're taking some fourth liner in the NHL or something. Like, these are, big name players, and people pay, the big bucks to get their cards graded. And, HGA they've taken off so fast, and it's interesting to see where HGA will go from here. I'm very curious to see how these custom labels look, and I know a lot of the older collectors don't actually take to the HGA slabs. So we'll see. We'll see where they go in the future. Hopefully they can cut down on their mistakes. And obviously PSA has opened a window where other, grading companies can come in and, return your cards faster, which brings me to the next grading company, and that's it's SGC. And SGC, for those watching YouTube, I'll have a slab up right now. This is a Clayton Keller Young Guns canvas. You can see that SGC has the black label around. It's called the Black Tuxedo look. People like to refer to it as. It's a very clean slab, black bordering the card, and it can look really nice with a lot of inserts, a lot of parallels, and different products that have a lot of black in the card. Kind of matches almost like an HGA slab, kind of color match, but they don't do any other color other than black. So with PSA going down and Beckett also being delayed a lot, people have started to pump SGC, I've seen a lot. And I'm not going to name any influencers by name, but there's been a lot of them who are now on the SGC train. And you can almost start to see the market shift right now. I know that PSA is going to be open back up in the summer, but because of these influencers, because of these big, names telling you to get your cards graded at SGC, you can see that SGC is getting a lot more volume, and the prices on SGC cards might adjust depending on that. And that's interesting to see. It's interesting to see the market shift, because for those older collectors who know, Beckett used to be the go-to standard. If you had a Beckett 9.5 or even a Beckett 10, that was the best thing. That was, far above PSA. PSA was only for older cards, that it was kind of the standard. And now it's totally shifted. It's came, full circle, where PSA is the gold standard, Beckett's kind of the 2, and everything else to follow that. But now that people are kind of pumping this SGC, and people like the slabs and influencers are behind it, whether they're being paid or not, is interesting to see, because the slabs are nice. I believe that the grading's good. SGC's been around for a while. But it's something where, these influencers are pulling so much that you might actually see a bit of a shift in many sports. For hockey, it actually hasn't happened yet. So if you're a hockey card collector, and you want to get in on SGC, to submit cards to SGC, it's not that expensive. And also to pick up SGC cards, no one in hockey is looking at SGC labeled cards or SGC slabbed cards right now. It just hasn't caught on to hockey yet. It hasn't caught on to the hockey market. So you can actually find these slabs really cheap. I think last week I sold a Bowen Byram for $40 shipped. I think it was a 9. But still, like a PSA 9 Bowen Byram, I think is like 65, something like that. So again, you can kind of get these cards at a bit of a discount. I shipped it with track shipping too, so I mean, I made even less. Like I made like $20 on like a slab card, which isn't a lot at all. And the grading fee again is more than that, which again you have to invest or look at the cards that you're grading before you send them in. Make sure that they have value and you're gonna make your grading fee back. But SGC is interesting because it's already caught on to basketball and football and even baseball. And I can see hockey coming next. I'd be curious to see if, I don't know if SGC grades Pokemon, but it'd be cool to see if that catches on as well. I know hockey is usually the last to catch on of the 4 major sports. So take that as a grain of salt and take it as you will. We could see SGC graded cards maybe being, higher in value. It could be competing with Beckett. It could be competing with PSA potentially in the future. Again, who knows? But the market in basketball for sure has shown that SGC cards, the value of them has gone up insane just because of these influencers, because of people, pumping SGC. Again, we're not going to name any names. I don't know if there's money under the table or I don't know kind of what's going on there. But SGC is being pumped right now and it's being, hyped up and people buy in on the hype, like I said before. And SGC cards could have, a value change depending on that. So if you're a hockey guy, maybe start looking into some SGC slabs. I know personally, I don't mind the look of them. They're not my favorite slab in the world, which actually I'm going to get into now. Is like I mentioned earlier, Beckett slabs are great in my mind. I really love Beckett slabs, but what I love even more is actually Mint slabs. So Mint is a Canadian grading company. They operate out of Ontario, Canada. And right now it's really cheap to send cards. I sent a 2-day order not too long ago. And I think it's about $45 Canadian to send per card on 2-day. If you send, 30-day or 90-day, it's dirt cheap. Especially if you want cards for the PC, if you just want stuff slabbed, protected, it's a good way to send in cards and to get cards graded. A lot of people don't like the green mint sticker on the top left. So the slab looks very similar to Beckett's. Mint operates in, so Beckett has a black label 10 as the highest grade, where Mint has like a shiny black label, like it's like a black cracked ice label. And then Beckett Pristine is like a gold label with a 10, and Mint has a silvery cracked ice label as their 10. They're pristine, flawless. And then again, their labels kind of match up with Beckett's. If you get a 9.5, it's gold. If you get a 9, it's gold, where Beckett's it's silver. And then anything under that, if you get an 8.5, it's silver at Mint, and it's also silver at Beckett. And then an 8 at Beckett is kind of a papery label, and I think again at Mint it kind of goes down to like a papery type label. So it's interesting to see that this Canadian company Mint it's actually taken off with Pokemon early. It took off with Pokemon probably in January, February, maybe even before that, December. And it was big for Pokemon. Pokemon senders were sending, stacks of Pokemon cards into Mint. Mint had value. It was PSA, and then it was, Beckett, and then it was Mint in third in Pokemon. And actually in hockey, it's taken off too. Big surprise, Canadian company taking off for, grading in hockey cards. Big surprise. But you'll see a lot of hockey cards that are graded by Mint. And I think if you're a hockey card collector, Mint is a really good idea, especially if you're Canadian. You get the cards back fairly quick. I'll keep you guys updated on my 2-day service. I think it's been it's been almost 2 weeks now on my 2-day service. I think it's been about a week and a half. I should get them back by the end of June, hopefully, on 2-day. Again, they're really delayed like every other Canadian grading or any other grading company. I know KSA is another Canadian grading company, which we'll get into. But Mint is potentially a good call, especially if you're a hockey card collector. I know I sent a couple football cards into there again just to get slabbed for the price when you're sending in a big order. I mean, you toss in another card. For me at the time, it was like an extra $30 to get it slabbed. Why not? Get it slabbed, get it protected, and you can definitely see kind of how true they are to grade. I feel like Mint is pretty tough on their grading. So if you actually come back with a Mint 10 or even a 9.5, your card's in pretty good condition. It's in good quality. I think Mint does a pretty fair job on, grading. Although I've seen, a lot of kind of crossover stories and stuff like that, some good, some bad. And that's just people, again, trying to, get a value on their cards and then send them to PSA. I know that people have done that with Mint, cracking slabs and sending them to get cross graded somewhere else is a big thing in card collecting. And again, people want the highest value for their cards, and right now that's PSA, like we said. So they'll, send to Mint, or they'll send to a cheaper grading company, crack it, send it to PSA, hope for that 10, and then flip for some cash, some quick cash. But Mint is a good idea if you're a hockey card collector. I mean, the value's there in hockey cards. People respect Mint as a grading company, especially for hockey cards. For other sports, not as much, especially Americans. You lose that buyer, the audience. They don't recognize Mint as legitimate. But anyone in Canada, especially with hockey cards, if you collect hockey, if you want to send cards to get slabbed, couldn't recommend Mint enough. The only thing I'll say is when you send, please send with Canada Post. They don't accept FedEx or Purolator or anything like that, which is something they need to work on because they just have a P.O. box. And we really need to, step up the game, Mint. If you're listening to this, Mint, step up the game. But if you follow Mint Grading Co. on Instagram, it's a great account. They tweet out all the time. They do their no spoilers, so they tweet out people's submitted cards with a little label that says no spoilers over, so you can't see the grade. And they have some really cool cards. They have a lot of heat going to them, and they're definitely picking up steam, especially in Canada, and especially for hockey or Pokemon. If you're a hockey or Pokemon card collector, Mint is the way to go right now because they still have all services open. There's nothing that's super delayed. I mean, you're going to get delayed at least a couple weeks with everything right now, even with PSA Super Express. So, you know what? If you want to grade a card, if you want to get slabbed, if you're in Canada, if you collect hockey, check all those boxes. Mint is the way to go. I think they're picking up a lot of steam, and personally, it's one of my favorite slabs, just because it resembles so closely to Beckett. But you can get these cards graded at a quarter of the price of Beckett, or a half a price of Beckett, or whatever. So it's a really good value, good grading service. It's a true grade. They're pretty strict on their grades, where PSA kind of hands out 10s like candy. They just kind of as long as it's in half decent condition, it's either a 9 or a 10. Mint kind of, they have the subgrades too, so you can really see kind of where your card excels and where the grade might have held it back. So far we've covered PSA, we've covered SGC being pumped, we've covered Mint as a decent option to send your hockey and Pokemon cards to. Beckett, we talked about Beckett was the leader in grading. Beckett was the gold standard back in the day. I still feel like Beckett has a lot of value going into the future, especially if PSA can't figure things out, especially when influencers, pump SGC and move away from PSA. I feel like Beckett might have an opening there as well. If you have Beckett cards, definitely don't crack your slabs. They're valuable as much as, someone might tell you that PSA is the only way to go. Beckett is a great grading service, and I love the subgrades personally. HGA, we talked about their mess ups, their delays in orders. So now we're going to go over some of the other grading companies and just kind of the things going on. Obviously, ACA is something I've heard of recently. I don't know much about them, but I've seen a lot of ACA cards. I know they're from Quebec. I've seen a lot of hockey cards from them on eBay recently. I've seen KSA. KSA I've never graded with personally. They're another Canadian grading company. And then, the grading company I've seen all these new grading companies kind of pop up as well. If you look on Instagram on grading companies, you'll see them all over the place. I know, again, shout out to 502 Frank, someone I watch on YouTube. There's a new company that kind of sponsored his grades the other day. It was kind of a sport specific label. So they kind of label your cards depending on the sport, and it kind of has that background of either like a football field or whatever. People are trying to appeal to these, younger kids, these newer collectors, people who want an exciting label or an aesthetically pleasing label. These old collectors who are so stuck on PSA or Beckett, they won't like these slabs, but maybe the younger generation or the younger collectors who are in the game now will. Which is interesting to see. Again, you can kind of see a shift of where the older collectors stop and the newer collectors begin, and maybe where the newer collectors stop. And, you can see that kind of crossover in some companies. You can see where, some audiences like one label, don't like the other. And it's interesting to see in grading. I mean, getting a card slabbed is something that's so big. It's something that, you can tell the quality of your card. You can maybe potentially increase the price on it. And it's something that it is definitely taken off. I mean, slabs have been, a huge thing, especially with the sports card market boom. People want to know the quality of their cards. And, when you get a card slabbed, it kind of protects it from the future and protects it, in any trades or anything like that you do. So there's so much that goes into card grading and so much that, has kind of back behind it, behind the scenes that people don't really understand. Again, we can kind of, I've been meaning to kind of talk about and doing a group sub with the Discord. As of right now, here's the update for people in the Canadian Card Collectors Discord who want to know about the group sub. So recently, Mint has raised their prices. When I was grading with them about a month ago, prices for 2-day was $32, and now it's gone up to $39. $7 increase. Where group subs made sense before was if you sent more than 10 cards, more than 25 cards, or more than 50 cards, the price went down. So $32 turned into $28 or something, let's just say. So where group subs made sense is if we got up to 50 cards, we'd send them all together, we'd all get a cheaper rate, and then I'd ship the cards back. But right now, where Mint is going and where their prices are at, they have $39 for every tier. So it doesn't matter if you're sending one card, it doesn't matter if you're sending 100 cards, you're still going to pay $39 for 2-day. Which, again, it doesn't make sense to do a group sub because you guys are going to ship to me. I'm going to ship them all together. I'm going to ship them, I'm going to get them back, and then I'm going to ship them to you, and none of us are going to save any money. So you might as well just send yourself. If Mint changes, or if I can get some sort of group rate or something like that, we'll definitely do a Mint group submission. I know I've been questioned a lot on that, and people really want to send to Mint. They're just they don't know how to do it, or they're hesitant to do it, and I might put a tutorial or something up to send to grading companies. It doesn't even have to be Mint, and they want to send their cards. So that's the update right there. If Mint drops their prices back to normal after this craze is, kind of died down a bit in the summer, like I said in the last podcast, the kind of off season where prices go down and cards, aren't as expensive, and grading kind of drops off a bit, maybe they don't get as backed up, we'll send a group sub. Maybe in the fall we'll send a group sub. We'll see. We'll have to kind of continue to watch prices. We'll have to see kind of where where the prices go. If prices change, if we can get a special group rate, we can send a sub. But until then, it doesn't even make sense to send a group submission because you guys are just sending to me so I can clean the cards and send them, and that it doesn't make sense. You guys can clean your own cards. I mean, it's not super hard to do. You just put on some gloves and get a microfiber cloth, carefully wipe them down, and then you top sleeve, and then you or penny sleeve, and then you put into a Card Saver 1, Card Saver 2, or a Beckett Shield, and then bubble wrap them, send them off for grading, and you're done. So that's the group sub update for those in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord yet, please click the QR code. It's down below here, or it can be found on screen, or it can be found on my Twitter at Dillzey, DYLLZEY, and the Instagram is at Canadian Card Collectors. The Discord link is in both of those bios. Please join. It's a great community. Just come, talk some sports, hang out with the boys and other members. It doesn't matter if you're, whoever you are. As long as you're a sports fan or, a Pokemon fan or Magic the Gathering, there's a spot for you there. Hockey, football, baseball, basketball, cricket, whatever. We have fans for everything. UFC, that's something that I wanted to talk about next podcast, is actually UFC cards and the market there. It's something that's sneakily growing recently. Come hang out. It's a great spot. It's a collection of chat rooms. Discord is a little bit of a learning curve at first, but trust me, it is something that's super useful once you get the hang of it. Plus, we're always doing giveaways and different kind of trivia nights and, a bunch of fun stuff that you can definitely get in on. So, if you're listening to on audio too, hopefully the audio has improved this week. I've tried to improve the audio from last week. I know last episode, I should say, the first episode was not the greatest. This audio hopefully is better. If you made it this far, please let me know. Let me know what you think of the pod. Thank you guys for coming out to episode 2, where we talked about grading companies, and leave your suggestions for episode 3 when I get around to recording. Maybe I'll answer some FAQs or some questions. We'll do a Q&A, or if there's any topics you want me to cover, let me know. So thank you guys for coming out to episode 2. Hopefully you guys have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Canadian Card Collectors Cast.